Okay, I'm going to try to show you just a little bit briefly about how MyMathLab works if any of you have not used it before. So let me go over and share my screen. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of courses here, but when you log into the MyMathLab webpage, you'll see something that has the name of your course on it. Now I'm doing this for summer of 22, but I'm hoping to use this in the future. So you find the name of your course and you click on the name and it will take you into the course. The way I have my classes set up, I have the landing page be announcements here. So right now there's some welcome stuff and you can kind of read through and see, how I have things set up. But as the course goes on, if we have anything like an announcement, I'm reminding you of a test deadline that's coming up. You'll start to see test deadlines posted at the top of the page up here with a couple of important links. I will often post videos of problems or techniques that I get lots of questions about that we need to go over together. So it's worth, when you first enter the course, read over here under the announcements to see if there's anything new that you need to know about. I try to also send those out as email. Sometimes I have students that don't have the email correctly typed in. There's a typo there, and so sometimes they're not getting the emails, but the information will always be here in the announcements. So when you log into MyMathLab, check the announcements before you just jump over here and go to the homework. Okay, everything that you want to do is over here on the menu on the left. You can't really break anything, so go through and click on everything, kind of look and see what I've got here. If you want more detailed information about how I'm going to do the grades or what the course in general contains or what the due dates are, this is something you could print off, the due date schedule, but you also see the due dates when you go to your assignments. Every assignment has a due date posted right next to it, so you can see that as well. Office hours are actually pretty lenient. I'm doing them during Zoom right now. So if you need to have a meeting with me, I'm really flexible about when to do it. I've said that I'm free, Monday and Thursday evenings, Tuesday and Wednesday in the middle of the day, but really just let me know when you want to meet and I can meet. I've tried the thing where I just sit in front of a blank Zoom screen and people don't generally drop in. So I stopped doing that after a while and said, just let me know when you want to meet and I will be happy to meet up with you and we can go over whatever you want, your grade, or go tutor you on some tricky material or anything you want. Okay, so just let me know, just email me if you want to meet with me and we'll work out the details. This is the one you're probably going to go to all the time over here on the left, which is your assignment. So I'll save that for later because I'll probably talk more about that than anything. One of the things that our course is asking you to be familiar with is how to deal with expressions and functions, whether they're presented as a word problem or maybe a table of values or table of data. You're trying to figure out if there's some mathematical relationship that could describe them, or you might want to just be looking at a graph of something you saw in a newspaper or a report you're looking for a psychology class or something. And so we want you to be really familiar with graphing and how a function expression looks if you try to graph it. So we have graphing calculators that we require. If it's not a graphing calculator, we recommend the TI-84 Plus, and you can go to our campus math lab and just lease one of those for the semester for $25 if you want to, or you can go buy one. But you can also just, if you have another app like Desmos or something that does the same capabilities, you can certainly use that, at least when you're doing your homework. There may be some difficulty taking a test if you're trying to use the graphing app, because right now the testing security software is not set up so that you could have that app open while you're testing. So I still recommend the graphing calculator, but you're welcome to use another tool that has graphing capabilities, regression features, and things like that. But that's what I'm wanting to show you here. The calculator videos are geared towards the TI-84 Plus. There it comes. And I have them grouped by general topic and also specific technique with the timestamp by it. So these are also nested inside your homework. They pop up right before the homework where you're going to need that technique if you're not familiar with the TI-84. But they're also, all the videos are over here together. If you ever want to go back and look up a video, you just click on calculator videos and play through whichever bit that you need to for whatever technique that you want to do. Okay, so that's what this is. The grade book is something that I will be using as your primary calculation of how you were doing in the class, and it will be live in real time. Just a second here. Okay, I had to take the bowl off the floor that my dog was scooting around the floor. Okay, so this is the view that you'll have. When you start getting assignments in, you'll see your grades start to show up over here. If you ever want to just go over an assignment that you've done, there'll be something that says review. But right here, when you open your grade book, you're going to see your overall score here. That is the average that I would have for you at that moment in time. If you're wanting to know, it says 82, but I've got it 100% on all my homework, and you open up your calculation, it'll show what your test averages are. And how it's computed together. 60% is based on test scores, your test average, and 40% is based on your homework average at any time. So gradebook, check that from time to time, make sure you know how you're doing. I usually leave the assignments open until the testing period has passed. Even if it's past a due date, you can still go and open a homework that's past due until we have finished completely with that module and the testing due date has passed. At that time, I go in and I put zeros in for the homework. Typically, though, towards the end of the semester, I still will have the homework reopened or reaccessible so you can go and work on old homework to kind of get your average up if you want to right at the end. Okay, so typically you log into MyMathLab, you see this, you check the announcements first, make sure that you're up to date on any new information, and then you're going to probably start working on your homework. That's when you get to that through assignments. And then this is the list of all of your assignments. If you have, the default should say this, all assignments. If for some reason you were just looking up your test scores and so you had a subset category, you won't see all the assignments, you'll just see the tests. This stuff down here underneath is not part of the course. This is stuff that is just automatically built from the textbook, but we don't use these quizzes. And there's something called a study plan. Just right here, just the very top things that you see, online exam 1, 2, 3, 4. Exam 3 does have 2 parts to it. We'll talk about that when we get there, but this is all just optional. If you have spare time, which many of you do not, but none of these count for a grade down here, just extra assignments. Okay, but make sure when you're looking at your assignments, you want to make sure it says all assignments so that you know you haven't skipped anything. They're listed in order by due date, so you should look over here and make sure that you have scores for everything. If you see a 0 somewhere, that means that one you skipped it for some reason, and eventually I went in and put a 0 in. So at the beginning of each module, and there are 4 modules, there is going to be something called a skill review. And I'm not going to lie, the first one from module 1 usually gives people the most difficulty just because it's covering so much prerequisite material from different areas of different courses that we're kind of expecting you to be familiar with when you begin the content for this module. So we have 20 questions here, and it could be everything from what is the slope of the line between these 2 points, or if the function, what is 2x minus 9 if x is 3? Could be an order of operations kind of a problem. So it's kind of a varied skill level. But if you struggle a great deal in this review and it's taking you forever to get through it, or you're having to reattempt the problems over and over again to get them correct, that's of concern. Then you have to kind of have a conversation with yourself about whether or not you feel like you're just rusty and you'll get better as you get more practice, or whether you really feel lost, like you've never seen these topics before. That's kind of a red flag. If you feel like you've never seen these things before, you're starting to feel overwhelmed, that it might be worth thinking about looking at one of the courses that we have that help you to get ready for a course like this, or they're called college prep math courses, CPM. And so you may want to consider getting out of this course and backing up and taking like the CPM3 course, which would go over all of this stuff that you see in the skill reviews. So you'd feel like it was, you know, fresh on your mind when you go into the course. But that's just a conversation that you'll have to have with yourself. I can help you if you want me to talk with you or not, but make sure you go through this pretty quickly in the first day or so that you kind of have a feel for how you're doing or how you're prepared for the class. Once you get through that, you will have the rest of it is new content. So you have the skill review. Every so often you'll see these things called calculator videos. Here's one that's been misspelled. They never have gone back and credit the calculator video. And then we have a couple, and then one towards the end of the module is the third one. There's more in the first module than the others because, of course, I'm working from the assumption that some of you have never used any kind of a graphing tool before. So they're not very, basically the calculator video, you just watch a video that my husband and I created several years ago. We look really good in those videos, don't we, Paul? Yeah, we're pretty young in those videos. Anyway, it was before COVID. All right, so when you open it up, it's going to be basically watching a video, and then we ask you a question after you've watched the video. I think this might be the, so right here, we want you to, that's the video. After you watch it, then we ask you a question. This one seems silly, but it's because sometimes at the end of the video, we put a silly math joke. But anyway, this is the stuff that it goes over, and this is what you'll be expected to be able to do in that first assignment. So they don't take very long, but they are helpful, just kind of showing you going over the calculator stuff if you've got the TI-84. All right, so then we're starting with 1.1. Now we're in the new content. And then we have several sections in the first module. We're going to be, if you look over here at the due dates, you've got something due just about every day in an 8-week pacing. So starting on Tuesday, the 31st, that's our first day. The orientation of MyMathLab goes pretty quickly. It just takes you through, if you've never used this website before, it takes you through, you know, how to enter your answers and where to find stuff like a square root sign and how you get 3 chances on an answer. So if you miss it the first time, you get 2 more chances to correct it before it's counted incorrect. And even if it's counted incorrect, you can click on an option that says refresh the problem. You can try it again. So anyway, the orientation takes you through a lot of that. But look at these due dates: May 31st, June 1st, June 1st. The calculator video usually have it due the same day as the assignment that it's preceding. So June 1st, June 2nd, June 3rd, 4th, the 6th. Sometimes I'll try to skip a Sunday if I can, but I have due dates all the time. So 6, 7, 7, I skip a day here to give you an extra day to review. And then our test is due by the 10th. Now that doesn't mean plan to take the test at 10 o'clock on the 10th, 10 p.m. on the 10th. That's the latest that you can take the test. You can certainly work ahead on this course at any time. And I recommend doing that so that if something funky comes up or, you know, you get sick or something, you can't work for a couple of days, you're not going to get so far behind that you really struggle to complete the course. Okay, so the little flag on the test, again, I'll talk about that more during test time, but that just means you can't take this test until you have gone through this review and got at least 80% on the review. I want you guys to prepare before you take your test. So anyway, that's kind of how it's set up, and that's the flow for the whole course. And I have the due dates, like, again, very much all the time: the 20th, the 21st, the 23rd, the 25th, 26th, 26th. So all the time. So it's real tempting to take off a few days, especially in the summer, but just be aware, if you take off a few days, you're going to be a few assignments behind, and you're going to have to work really hard when you dip back into the course. So I recommend don't skip anything. Okay, so that's just kind of the setup that I have. I'll just open up one of these assignments and work through 1 or 2 problems quickly, just because we're already, you know, it's quite a long video. Most assignments I will have over here on the left some media that I want you to look at. This just kind of, it depends on you and how you learn the best. If you are someone who would rather just hear somebody explain it, and maybe you take your own notes, then maybe you watch the video all the way through. It's a 5-minute video that just goes over the basics for this content. Some of you do better with that. The second one is also a video. You can see the little thing that looks like a film strip. And then this is just a copy of the actual textbook that we have for this course that nobody buys anymore. It's an online e-textbook, but it's based off the actual hard copy book that they have created for this course. So you can see it looks just like a regular textbook here. So I don't know if that popped up. I hope it did. I'm sharing my screen. But anyway, as you look at these things, the check marks will come off. So they're actually worth credit to view these things. And then you go over and you work through your homework. Some of them have multiple parts, some of them just have one part. I'm going to just jump into a question here in the middle. Let's see what question 10 is. Okay, so this is talking about whether something is a function. So you would have, if you're looking at this and going, I don't know what this means, it's asking about a function. I don't know what a function is. That means you probably didn't watch that video or read the textbook. But if you're lost when you're in the middle of a homework set, if you look down here, there's a couple of options to help you. Of course, the media that we had at the beginning of the homework set, you still have access to those quickly right through here. If you want to go back and like open up the textbook and scroll through the pages to where it's talking about is something a function, it's talking about a relationship and whether or not something's a function. The help me solve this and view an example are going to be closely related to the problem that you're given. I would probably recommend the view an example first. A lot of students like that because it just literally takes you through a similar problem and kind of explains it step by step. You go through and click continue so it has to part, it explains the reasoning behind how you would answer the question in little bits and pieces so you can kind of take it in at your own speed. And then it gives you the answer and why they answered it. And you just click continue as you go through and kind of read through the reasoning behind answering that kind of question. If you feel like you want to have more interaction, that's just not having the screen talk to you or the book talk to you, the help me solve this is similar, but it will ask you questions, which is kind of nice because that gives you kind of a little way to check yourself and see how you're understanding it. So see here, it takes you through a thought process to answer the question. Is the way to function? You might want to check through these. You would go along and you couldn't get to the next part until you had picked an answer for the first part. So that one, it turned out the question was, it didn't ask you any different question than what you have in the homework, but sometimes it will ask you, what do you think about this? What will we do here? What's the next step? So that's kind of a more interactive thing. I really, really emphasize to you that it's important to try to keep a written notebook. Right now for this course, we are allowing students to use a notebook while they are taking their online test. I know that that's not a normal testing situation, but that's the way it is right now. So if you want to help yourself out while you're testing, really document your homework and the topics while you're studying and going through your homework. So if you're wanting to take notes, like I said, have a notebook ready, label it what section it is, 1.1, and then just write down all the definitions or examples that you think are useful. Sometimes you don't realize how useful they are until you're working through the homework, and then you might want to go back and put more things in your notebook. But anyway, let's see, get more help would be, these can vary from time to time depending on which problem it is. Sometimes there's a video nested in here. You're not really going to need the calculator link because you have a much better calculator or calculator app that you're using. The textbook, again, is just another link to the textbook, but I also have that in the media. But the Ask My Instructor is something that will email directly to me from you. It will include the copy of the question that you're working on. And then in here you can write, whatever it is, and I can't see my camera. How do they get that answer? I've tried 14 times. I always, there's something, a lot of times students will put in specific things. I keep getting positive. Why is it negative? The more information you can include in your email here, the better I'll be able to help you. But once you send this off to me, I will see an email that has this text and then a link to this problem. So it has the specific numbers that you were working on. I'll go ahead and close this down because every time you open up one of these homework problems and every time a different student opens it up, it gives you fresh numbers. So nobody gets the same set of problems. And so it's helpful, because I can see the numbers that you're working with to give you a good answer to kind of help get you back on your way. Okay, so let's see. Let's pretend I'm just guessing it's A. Oh, all right. That was good. Is the barcode a function of the price? I don't know. I'm going to say I think this was wrong, but let's see what happens when you get a wrong answer. It says no. Sometimes it gives you a little reminder of the content that's covered by that to see maybe you can spot what's wrong with your answer. but it's going to give you another chance. You can, I guess not on this one. Final check. Can you change it? Oh yeah, so it allows you to change. If it's something where it has an open field, you just type in your answer, you type in a new answer. So let's say final check. Nope. It says too bad, and it gives you the right answer. This is what I mean. If you run out of chances to answer it, then you can go ahead and move on and say, I'm just tired of that, I'll come back later. Or you can click on this, which is a similar question, and then it clears it up and gives you a brand new question. You can also skip around in your homework problems. Over here, you notice I clicked next to the homework icon with a little line, little menu lines. You can see all your problems at once this way, and you can click in and out. That's a quick way to say, oh, okay, I haven't done number 6 yet. I've got everything right, but I missed one on number 10. I need to go back and do that one. What you'd like to see is a green check mark by every single question. That means you're going to get 100%. Right now, I've only answered part of one question right. So if you look over here, I have a whopping 5.26%. I've gotten 2 out of 38 points out of this assignment so far. But as you work on the problems, you'll see this change. And you can always come back in to the same assignment and keep working. So just if you have a chance to just work for 20 minutes and you get 3 or 4 or 5 problems done, you can go ahead and submit that or just close down the assignment. It will give you a partial grade based on how many you did, but you can always go back and open it up and keep working later. So that's kind of how it looks. I'm trying to find one that has an open field. Let's see here. This is a graphing one. It's asking for the domain, so you put your answers inside the box. Let me find it. Also, look here, you can skip backwards or forwards by the arrows at the top of a particular problem. All right, so let's look at this. No, I don't like that one either. I'm just trying to do something that's quick to answer. We did that one already. All right. Okay, well, maybe I'm just being lazy and running out of time. All right, so sometimes you have a drop-down menu. So this is something, it gives you a table that you have to read, and it says click on the icon to see the figure. Sometimes you have to open up a data set or a graph. So this is what we're looking at. And if you look at the graph up the side, it says it's working women in millions. And then across the bottom, it is according to what year it is. So as time marches on, there are more and more million women working. So if we're looking at that, you can kind of slide it over. Approximately how many women were in the workforce in 1960? Well, let's go see. We got to find 1960, which is down here. I'm going to go and associate the point on the graph on that over 1960, and then see what the Y value is. So it's almost 25. That's like, looks like maybe more than halfway up. So 23 maybe, because it goes 20, 30 and a mark in between. So I'm going to guess 23 and see if that's one of my options here. So let's look and see if 23, yep, 23 was one of my options. So sometimes you get a drop-down menu. Let me go ahead and check answer. You get some kind of positive feedback if you get it right, and then it just goes on to the next question. This is going to be about function notation. So I don't want to go over this anymore. I know that the video is getting long, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about how MyMathLab looks. Let me see if I close down that problem. Then I'm going back to the menu. So that's basically just the start out. When you open it up, announcements are what you see first. Read that first. Follow any links up here. The respondus is something about your test security. I'll talk more about that later. There's some more details about that down here. But as we get into the course, I'll talk more about that. The Math Lab, if you need extra tutoring, if it's some time that I can't meet with you, or you just want to see what kind of options are available in our campus Math Lab. It's a very useful resource. Tons of computers. If you want to sit up there and do your homework, you can get help on a particular question if you get stuck. That's where you go if you want to lease a calculator for the semester. Lots of really good resources up there. So I encourage that. And then the assignments. That's be the main thing. You log in, read your announcements, go to your assignments, click on the one you want to work on, and then just start working. Okay, so I think that's all I'm prepared to show you right now. It's probably too long already. So hopefully that at least gives you a way to get started. And that is how the course works. You just work on these assignments top down, don't skip any, make sure it says all assignments, make sure you keep up with these due dates. If you start getting behind on the due dates, it's going to be a struggle to have you ready for the test. And the test, once the test is completed, I'm expecting everybody to start the next module. So it's not really a self-paced thing. Unless you want to work ahead, then it's self-paced. So, but you want to make sure that you have each module completed by that testing deadline for each test. Okay, so don't hesitate to contact me if you have other questions. I really want to help you. I want to hear from you and hear how it's doing. So good luck, and I'll see you at Zoom.